Welcome aboard. You're listening to Flight Plan Quick Consults, your go-to podcast for veterinary insights that are fast, focused, and designed to elevate your practice. I'm your host, Brenda Tassava Medina from Encore Veterinary Consulting. Whether you're between appointments or heading into a strategy session, we've got takeoff ready tips, tools, and takeaways to keep your team soaring. So buckle up and let's chart today's course to exploring your leaders are exhausted and so are you. Today's panel includes Dr. Evan Ware, Dr. Chip Cooney, and Dr. Amy Tate. Dr. Ware, tell our listeners a little about yourself.
Okay, so I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, in a family of four boys, so very competitive right from the beginning, involved in sports, and that has kind of I've taken that with me my entire life. Moved to the Phoenix area after graduating veterinary school in 2008, and built my first practice in 2014, and second in 2015, and been kind of growing from there. My goal as a veterinarian and a veterinary owner has always been to kind of push the needle and continue to grow, not only within our community and culture, but technology and the services that we provide. So we are a practice that is constantly evolving and changing, and that has kind of been our motto.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Of
Next up
course,
is
happy to
Dr.
be here.
Cooney.
Hello, I am Chip Cooney. I am unfortunately 91 graduate of Auburn, so this is 35 years in this profession, and I'm not sure where that time went, but here we are, right? So been in North Carolina since I graduated and bought my main practice in 2004. We grew it to a 7 doctor practice and reached the point where we really and truly were just busting at the seams. We just didn't feel like we were very efficient anymore. So we recently opened a second practice, a startup that we started 4 months ago. So we're excited about how that's going. So we currently have about 6.5 at the main clinic, and then we're 1.5 doctors at our new clinic. Um, been married for 31 years to a woman who was up helping me shovel snow at the clinic this weekend, and have 2 kids, both of who will graduate college in May. Um, the first,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
yes, so the
Congrats.
first is graduating medical school. The second is getting his undergrad degree. So this is great, except that they're both graduating on the same day at the same time, 300 miles from one another.
Oh, no.
Oh
So
no, what are the
that's
chances?
unfortunate, but I do get a raise in May.
Yes, you do. And last but certainly not least is Dr. Tate.
I'm Amy Tate. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and I am a mom of 2 kids. They are about to graduate high school and a sophomore in high school, and I am the managing partner and full-time veterinarian at Riverview Animal Clinic. We are a 6.5 doctor practice here in the Birmingham area, and our clinic's been in operation for 41 years. And I'm kind of one of those homegrown kids where I started in the practice in high school and went to vet school and came back and kind of never left. I married a great guy who we've been married for 20 years. He's a football official, so he gives me a lot of feedback on some conflict resolution, which has been an interesting and much needed aspect of veterinary medicine that I never knew I needed. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for being with us today. I thought of each of you when I was thinking about this topic because, we teach a lot of leadership and a lot of my consulting work is around leadership. And as leaders, we all seem to be so exhausted, constantly trying to improve the situations that our practices, constantly learning, constantly growing, and building that leadership team. And it's hard sometimes to distinguish between, okay, what do I as a practice owner need to let go of? What should I not be doing any longer? And the teams that you've built around you, how you've done that. So my first question, and I'll give this one to Dr. Ware first. What leadership responsibilities should owners stop carrying themselves?
As I would say, relatively newer practice owner, so I've been a practice owner for 11 years. I think we all have to go through the struggles of learning by experience. And I think what I have come to is that my biggest hurdle and restriction was I was just putting out everybody's fires all the time. And it was a massive um, impediment to my own growth personally and my professional growth. And it took me a while to get there. And, you have to take risks in people and you have to count on people to be accountable for kind of their own actions and their own development. But man, I felt like I was treading water for so long because because of my own desire, if you will, to make everything perfect. And I had to really um, give those responsibilities to other individuals because I was never going to get to my own individual vision of where I wanted to be if I kept trying to make each individual component of my practice perfect in my own vision. So that was my biggest hurdle, and it's still a hurdle for me. Whether it's making sure everybody's happy, or a procedure is done a specific way, or whatever it might be. So that's probably been my biggest hurdle, and I still struggle with it on a daily basis.
Yeah, I find there's a high percentage of perfectionists in the veterinary profession, and we struggle with that. We struggle with trying to keep things as perfect as possible or perfect to that vision. Dr. Tate, what about you? What do you think responsibility-wise owners should stop carrying themselves?
I mean, I would echo a little bit of Dr. Ware. I took over managing responsibilities in the middle of COVID. And I mean, that, only to discover that we had we had seven doctors at the time kind of doing seven different things. And, I became kind of the sole keeper of the standards of the practice and how everybody should be practicing, what type of questions should be answered, and how they should be answered, um, and then what type of metrics should be hitting, and then training, and it is overwhelming, and it really kind of you feel like you have a lot of plates that are spinning, and you don't realize what the team feels from that kind of inner turmoil. They feel a lot of stress because you may not be giving them the time or the response they want, where you feel like you're kind of propping everything up. You know, they may not necessarily be receiving that energy that way. And so, it's taken me a while to find the right team to hand some of the responsibilities to, as far as um, medical protocol, standards of care, accountability for the team. And it's not perfect right now, but it's definitely better. And I realized that some of those people didn't necessarily need to be, um, you know, um, from the actual team members, but to actually kind of elevate my veterinarians into some leadership roles that needed long-term associates that were interested and invested, that needed some things to kind of help them feel like they were still involved with the practice. In other words, it didn't need to all be coming from me, and that's been kind of a game changer.
Yeah, you've recently elevated two of your veterinarians, one to medical director and another one to more of a training leader role. Is that correct?
Right. So she's in charge of the medical team, but the LVTs and the um, veterinary assistants of training, one-on-ones, daily feedback, their meeting cycle and schedule, and and then supporting me with kind of retraining those team leads in that peer group of kind of what to expect. So it took me someone to kind of find that really kind of bought into the core values and the mission and the vision and can articulate that back and continue that message forward.
Thank you. Dr. Cooney, what about you? Leadership responsibilities, owners should stop carrying themselves. And I know that you have a really interesting leadership team that's pretty strong. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that.
Yeah, when I was thinking about this question, I kind of harkened back on, veterinarians in general, is that in our training, we're trained to do everything, all different species, all different specialties. We're dermatologists and we're orthopedists and we're dentists and we're behaviorists. So why shouldn't we do everything in our practice, leadership wise and business wise, right? I mean, that's who we are. As you say, we're perfectionists. But the problem is, while we've had great training in veterinary school, most of us have had little to no leadership/business training. And the truth is that you can't do it all. And the bigger truth is you shouldn't do it all. Um, so, the question on what should you stop carrying, I really think that depends on the individual because we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. So I have found Gino Wickman has an exercise where you take a piece of notebook paper and you put a big cross in the middle of it, a big plus sign. And the top left are the things you love doing and the things that you're great at. And over to the right, top right, are things you like to do and you're really good at. Things the bottom left are you don't like, but you're still pretty good at it. And then the bottom right are things you don't like, and you're really not good at it. In fact, you kind of suck at those things. So, the top left, those are yours. You own your practice, you love doing it, you get to keep those. You can pull rank and do those things. For me, it's like future planning, it's like leading the culture of the business, that type of thing. And then under the top right, kind of like it sounds like Amy has done things that I really like doing and I'm good at, like surgery and dentistry and ultrasonography. But honestly, I need to give some of those up to some of my associates to give them some leadership responsibilities and take some leadership roles. So I'm doing less of that than I used to do, even though I still really like it. The bottom left is those are things to me like running staff meetings. I'm good at that, but I really don't like it. I don't like preparing for it. So I have coached up another person who is now running the staff meeting, so I don't have to deal with it anymore. And it's things like client complaints. I'm good at dealing with those, but nobody likes dealing with client complaints. So once again, I've coached up a staff member who deals with most of those. And yes, I still have to get involved with them sometimes, but it's few and far between. But that bottom right, things that you don't like to do and you're not good at, man, those are energy sucks. You need to get rid of those things. And for me, it was like the HR drama that happens in the clinic. I mean, that stuff, I have no tolerance for that at all. Therefore, I've given that away because somebody else would dig into that. I've got a person in my hospital who loves that, will dig into the drama, figure it out, and fix it. I don't do social media. So why would I be doing marketing and social media for my practice? So I found somebody in the practice that can do that. And if you look within your practice, you will almost surely find some people who can really help you with these things that you don't want to do. And if you can't, then you probably need to hire for that because those things are what we've all talked about are just ruining your days, right? Is making veterinary practice not fun.
Great. And
I just like
where
listening to Chip talk.
I know that
You're a wise man. This
he
is
is a
good
very
stuff,
wise
man.
man.
I'm jotting notes down right now. I mean, your wants as a person and desires, these change over time. So those boxes are shifting. How often are you doing this exercise? And two, what I have found is an important part of being a leader is carving out time for critical thinking. And I don't think we do that enough. And, we're so distracted And I know Chip well, and he kind of knows some of my passions outside of veterinary medicine. I'm a big runner, ultra runner, and during my runs, I'm out there for 4 hours at a time. I sweat 3 of those hours. I'm thinking about what I'm doing in my life, what I'm doing in my practice, what I want, what I don't not want, what I'm mad at, what I'm happy about. Like it's my time to critical think. And this is an exercise that I'm going to do very soon. So thanks for that. But like, how often are you moving these boxes around?
So I try to do this about once a year. Before our annual planning session every year, I'll sit down and go through this, and I truly have all my leaders do exactly the same thing. So we go through it because they have things that they're not doing well that we need to delegate even down the chain somewhere else. So your leadership can stay healthy as well. But yeah, once a year is what I like to do. And I agree the critical thinking is really important. You've got to find time to sit down and just focus on that. As you know, I'm a cyclist, so I'm out riding my bike for 2 or 3 hours. And honestly, I do some great thinking during that time. So it's good time.
Yeah.
Note taken. Exercise, critical thinking, pair hand in
I was
hand.
going to say, I do it best when I swim. I mean, aside from counting how many times I got to breathe, but you can't do anything else but like reflect and then try not to run into the wall and then take a breath and try to do it again. So
Man, it's interesting that all three of us have this outlet where we're doing a task that is so familiar to us that we have the ability to use the other side of our brain. And that's the time that we use critically. I don't think that's a coincidence.
I don't think it is either. I don't think it is at all. Well, thank you all for joining me today. And thank you to our audience for flying with us on Flight Plan Quick Consults. If today's insights helped you climb to new heights, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your crew. Until next time, keep your mission clear, your team aligned, and your practice soaring.